No, I don't want you to turn a bicycle. I want you to get off my screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed.
I can't hear anything so loud.
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty brew while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
And back in the nerd room, he just can't get rid of him.
Just can't get enough.
Yeah, finally drug him off the couch.
Josh Saintz.
Yes, the
I gotta
cheer
say,
captain.
Thank you for filling in for me while I was gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
Appreciate
problem,
it.
man. Yep. Glad you're back.
Right?
Yeah.
We already gave him all those props on our
Yeah.
when he first got back.
Yeah.
For whenever this airs. This is going to be our okay, before we dive into it, because I'm going to do it and I'm going to talk way too much, we go over to Jeremiah because he's back and we want to hear all about.
The oatmeal stout?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's 6.2% from American Brewing Company out of Edmonds, Washington. So,
It's
got oatmeal in
it? Okay, oatmeal is an amazing thing to have in a stout,
Yes.
or maybe potentially any beer because it makes it so smooth.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's something I've learned.
Adds body and smooth flavor.
I don't see any oats in there. I think it's a misleading ad. You need
I forgot
sue
to
them.
introduce the intern.
Oh yeah, me. Hi, I'm Jack.
That's back in the intern camp.
again.
And if you don't know why, you just heard it.
Yeah.
He's stuck in the corner once again.
I mean, that's a valid point. I don't know why they'd say oatmeal. Like, if I see oatmeal on something, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat it. I'm like, oh, it's beer. Ew.
It's good.
First
Doesn't
of all,
smell like oatmeal. Sucks.
Although when he sees blue and soda,
Well,
he just can't wait
what
to
if
put
it's-
those
what if
balls
it's-
in his mouth.
Could be
Oh my
beer
God.
flavored oatmeal.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That
go to
ain't
bed at
maple
night.
syrup.
How else do you cool your oatmeal down?
Yeah, right?
I nuked
Clearly.
it for too long. Beer.
He's still got some stuff to learn.
That would be so gross. Oh my god.
I don't know. That actually doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, right? I know. It's
Yeah,
like the beer
try
with
it.
the ice
Try
cream.
it.
A little brown sugar, some stout,
Oh yeah.
butter. That'd be pretty good.
Maybe in like a blueberry oatmeal.
Yeah.
Boil it in the beer.
So, welcome to the oatmeal episode.
Apparently leads to D-pants.
Yeah. So, what are we drinking today?
We already covered it. It's the oatmeal stout from American Brewing Company, Edmonds, Washington, and it's 6.2%.
Yep.
You already said it smells roasty.
It smells very roasty.
Apparently, it doesn't look very oatmeal-y
No.
because it's not supposed to be. It's only like a little handful of flake for the whole damn boil.
ah,
It smells rich. It smells very rich.
It smells very rich. It smells like a stout should.
It doesn't smell super sweet, though.
No, and it had a nice, thick, frothy head, which is what the oatmeal should help with.
Hey, yo. Yeah.
It is dark. This is
Yeah,
one of the
it's,
darkest stouts I've seen in quite a while. I like
you
that.
cannot see through it at all.
I was
What
gonna
is
say.
what do you say? If you put your finger on the side of the glass, you wouldn't be able to see it. Is that what
Yeah.
it is? Something like that?
Something like that,
Yeah. It's a Jeremiah quote that I totally botched.
In the words of Ron Burgundy and Anchorman 2, black.
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 Right?
Black.
Are you a fan of a darker beer, Josh?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure. This is like, if you're a fan of it, this is awesome. If you're not a fan of a darker beer, this would scare you.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
have to be like,
It doesn't look like pee.
it's either amazing or the
This looks
scariest
like I
beer
went
you've ever
10,000
seen.
miles past my oil change.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Totally. So, should we taste it?
Of course.
Let's do it. Let's do the real test.
All right.
To all the nerds,
Through all the fuzz.
bottoms up.
Let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Clankety, clankety.
in the headphones, that was just like the most sound.
Oh, my God.
It sounded like I
really
don't
good.
even know what it sounded like. It was terrifying.
Wow, that's really smooth.
Very smooth.
Super, super smooth.
It's pretty sweet, but the oatmeal's doing its job.
That's because of that oatmeal, Jack.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's really smooth. It's got a great roast finish. It's not cloying. It's not just lingering
Like
bitter.
a coffee-ish kind of to me.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
just
kind of like why I like Guinness.
Yeah.
So
no, it does. This is really good.
Especially, okay, when I bought this, American beer, right? I thought, great, this is going to be the, like, generic of the generic. I'd never really heard of it before. And, but they are local. They're from Edmonds. It's like a real, legitimate, beer company. It's way better than my first assumptions when I grabbed it, right? I really enjoy it a lot. It's got so much flavor. It is very rich. I don't know that this is a beer that you could drink a whole ton of, right? It's going to eventually weigh down on you, but initially it's really not too heavy.
Well, yours
It doesn't leave a lot on your tongue after you.
no, it doesn't.
It's just super
and
clean.
what stays there is that nice roast. That the good flavors that you're looking out of coffee is what stays there.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
I totally agree.
Little history on the American Brewing Company. I've been following them pretty much since they opened, and they started out really strong. What they originally offered was awesome. I don't know if they lost a brewer or gained a brewer that didn't have the same vision that they had or whatever. They went through kind of a shift change and stuff. But if this is what they're producing now, from then, I'm gonna have to go check them back out again.
Well, and the place where I got these, it was a total deal on them. They were around $3 for these 22s, and they had one other kind by them. So I might have to go back and
Was
get
the monkey flying one?
it's an IPA.
Yeah, I think that's
So I don't remember what it was called. I think it might have just been American IPA Ale,
okay.
something like that. So it's like a double.
Well,
ale,
they've all been
apparently.
very simple with their naming and stuff.
Yeah, which is how it presents itself.
And I
I mean,
think
just with the label and everything.
I'm pretty sure we've had an American on our cast before, haven't we?
I don't know. Hopefully, it wasn't this one.
I'm American.
No, it's not this one.
Okay, good. I was saying if it was, surprise, we're redoing it. We're kind of going to throw some rules out the window on this episode anyway.
Are we now?
Yes, and we're going to segue it right into it because I don't know if there's much more American than Batman. Did that work? Is that
Except for
okay?
he
segue?
trained
What?
overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, Captain
Yeah,
America.
back to the captain.
Hey, whoa, whoa,
DC.
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 Come on, man. Stick with the
And
program.
you got,
I mean,
I would
you got
totally-
Mr. Metropolis himself,
I'll-
too, though.
Yeah, I would totally
Superman.
say Superman.
Superman's
is
way
the-
more
yeah,
American.
You're right.
Yeah, you're wrong. Bad.
Okay, well, anyway, it spurred some conversation, which will equal as a segue into Batman. So this whole episode, we're just going to talk Batman. The whole frickin' episode. So whatever the nerd play is, play it. Whatever the anime is, watch it. And we're just going to keep talking about Batman.
Awesome.
So before we
What you're saying
dive...
is you don't remember what we kept.
What we, what? Oh, well, I don't know when...
Oh,
this
yeah,
might
yeah.
be... I don't know when I'm going to actually air this episode. So I don't know what those things are, but watch them and play them.
Okay.
But before we dive into too much of that, if we're going to promote anything, we should promote ourselves. So
Absolutely.
please like, share, and subscribe. We still need 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're getting close. It'd be so awesome to have our own channel. It really does mean the world to us. It's digital tipping. It really does matter. Feeds the kids. Please do it. You can go to patreon.com
Feeds me
/
too. Please
yeah,
feed
right.
me.
Every time somebody buys a swag bag from patreon.com where you get a t-shirt and some stickers and a magnet, Josh, sorry, you don't get any money. Jack gets 2 cents in his 401k,
Yeah, he
and it
did.
adds up.
He got the gift card for the Xbox.
Oh yeah, there you go. He did because of his cheers. He
Yes.
is our cheers captain. And you can also go to nerdbuzz.com. Right, I'm going to get you some pom. One of these
That's what
times
I-
you show
I
up,
got
you're going to
my
have
damn
pom
pom-poms.
poms. This is going to be awesome.
It better be red and black.
Oh sure, yes, whatever color you want, as long as you shake them.
That sounds so bad.
Right? You can go to nerdbuzz.com and watch or listen to any episode of Nerdbuzz 100% free as opposed to...
Any other percentage? of
Thank
free.
you. So, before we get too deep in the Batman stuff, as always, I like to try to educate the people a little bit.
Would that be guano?
And, what? Guano?
Can we get too deep in Batman stuff?
Back. Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jay's back.
Zing.
Oh, look at that look over there.
He's so impressed.
Be ready
He's
with
so
that
I
rim shot,
figured
Jack.
out my PlayStation password.
Oh,
yay.
nice.
Yeah. So
Somebody-
while this
so-
is going on, I'm gonna link up my account, but I'll chip in. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'll
Thanks.
pitch in.
Thanks, intern.
Chip pitch.
So, Batman's first appearance was in Detective Comics number 27, which came out in 1937. I believe that Batman was... Everybody, I think, when you think of DC, you think of Superman. Mm-hmm. And Batman was pretty much the follow-up to Superman. And he was supposed to be the dark, more mysterious counterpart to the bright and shiny Superman. So that's
Totally
where he came from. It's still what he is today.
Way cooler.
Yeah, right.
Way
Totally.
cooler.
He's created by Bob Kane and Bill. His real name is Milton Finger, And an interesting note on the whole Bill Finger thing is I believe it's on Hulu. There's a movie called Batman and Bill. It's a documentary that's all about how Bill Finger never got credit for creating Batman, and it was always Bob Kane. Anything you ever saw Batman, it was Bob Kane, Bob Kane, Bob Kane. Everybody always praised him as creating The Dark Knight and just worshipped him for it. Bill Finger never got credit for it. It wasn't until Batman versus Superman came out that he officially got credit for creating Batman. He was such an integral part in Batman. First time it was ever done. He's in now whenever you see anything since that movie, all the comic books that come out, anything else that Batman's in, you will see Bill Finger's name. And if you watch the documentary Batman and Bill, which is what pushed DC to finally put his name on everything, was everything that this guy unearthed in the documentary. It's really, really cool. It's actually really kind of a sad story of everything that happened to Bill Finger. He just kind of like died and went away and never got any credit for anything.
Wow.
And it was because of this documentary and everything that happened that now today he gets the recognition for Batman. He so deserves it. If you watch the documentary, super, super cool. So,
but you'll never see it. So,
and he'll never see it. But he has still one living relative.
Oh, good.
That is going to get some reimbursement from it, and you learn all that in the
Nice.
documentary. It's really, really cool how it all. And there was actually this in the documentary. Like DC tries to just like give them hush money to like shut up that family member so they don't have to deal with it. And like, I mean, that's such a big change for DC to suddenly turn around and now have to acknowledge this guy. I think it's like 30 years later, right? It's like crazy. So it's really cool. I really recommend that if you're a Batman fan, check that out. You learn so much history about Batman, and it's kind of this sad story about Bill Finger, but in the end, it all comes back around, of course. Really worth checking out. So
Nice.
I really encourage people to do that. Batman and Bill, check it out. So on to our opinions about some Batman stuff, because our opinions are what matters.
Yeah.
Right? It's our show, goddammit. So my first question, which I have just the biggest laundry list of notes on all of these for myself, because I'm a super big Batman fan. Why is Batman amazing? Just kind of, we'll just, try to throw out some general stuff.
I mean,
I got
obviously
specifics
he's
coming
one of the
later.
most. Obviously, he's one of the most relatable heroes for anybody, just because of the fact that it's something that if you were rich, you could imagine yourself achieving.
Right? His superpower is his credit limit,
Yeah,
which is through the roof.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's also like basically invincible, and a lot of times he can heal really fast. He has inhuman strength and stamina, but yeah, he's just rich. I'm sick and tired of that. He's so powerful.
I actually
It's like
I came up with a
God.
pretty good laundry list of reasons why. Other than the other questions I have, Batman is all about being angry and vengeance, which I think is super cool. That's not a typical route that a lot of superheroes go down. So I'm a big fan of Vegeta, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love that type of hero. So Batman sticks out in that way for me. I think he personifies the word vigilante,
yeah,
right? Like, it's when you go to the roots of what a vigilante is, I think if you looked it up in the dictionary, there should be a picture of Batman. Like, he defined that word. I really like, I always kind of associate, this is probably just me doing this, but I always kind of associate Batman with a little bit of this like noir kind of feel to him. And
Yeah.
and I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff, the internal monologues, and he's a detective, which I always kind of, when I think of the noir stuff that I like, it always
Yeah.
revolves around a
It's
detective and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I kind of lump him in with that group a little bit. So for me, that makes him super awesome, right? He has cool nicknames, right? Like the Dark Knight, Cape Crusader. That's pretty bad. Dark Knight is my favorite one.
yeah.
Yeah.
The World's Greatest Detective, again, the whole noir stuff I'm a big fan of. The other thing I always like about Batman is he's so tactical. He's got that like Piccolo mentality to him,
yeah.
right? Where it's like, even though he doesn't have the superpowers, he's still already like 5 steps ahead of whoever that next guy is, right? It's hard to fool Batman.
Yeah, well,
He's
he's
already
gonna
seen
outthink
through
you
your
every
plan.
time.
Yeah, right. Which I think is super cool because he doesn't have superpowers, right? And of course, lots of toys. He has so many toys, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of gadgets and toys. And last on my list, I have The Voice. Right?
Yep,
Come on.
yeah.
The what? Do we want to
Voice.
reword that? Maybe. Oh, I think you said the boys. I'm like, what is the sidekicks? Is a better way to say
that.
it,
is something
okay.
though that
voice.
is
He's a
noteworthy.
priest.
We'll bring up later.
Yeah.
I meant the voice.
We just watched a video about how he chose the voice, right?
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Yes. Yeah. We went through many other ones.
Where are all the drugs going?
Yeah.
College humor, if you're looking for that.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I think I read online that the Batman logo is one of the most recognized logos like worldwide. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak. When you see the Batman logo, you know Batman.
Yeah, I can see
away.
that.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
Yeah. You guys have anything else you want to add to why Batman speaks to you in particular? Where would you put Batman on your like superhero list?
Overall, probably second or third.
Yeah, he's pretty high.
And for just DC, obviously number one.
Yeah.
And then if you take DC, the other Batman-esque character is
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow.
Yeah.
But you look at, as far as the comic book side of it is, Green Arrow is very happy-go-lucky and la-di-da with everything, where Batman's the dark and gritty. And I think it's just much easier to associate with the dark side of things than it is there's the happy-go-lucky, because not everybody's happy-go-lucky all the time.
Yeah. Well, and there's a different level of tragedy that goes on there between the Green Arrows is a little more personal, whereas
A little more personal and later in life when he's a little bit older and can handle it.
Yeah.
Where Batman was just a young, very impressionable kid, didn't know how to handle it. Then he's all of a sudden getting raised by the butler.
Yeah.
You know, which, by the way, was old when he was that young of a kid, and then now you see him in like the Dark Knight, and he's still around. I'm pretty sure that with all that technology, they just created some AI robot that looks like him.
yeah.
You know, that's not Alfred anymore. You know?
Yeah. What do you think, Josh? Where does Batman sit as far as your superhero list?
Well, so I don't
favorites.
He's probably one of my favorites. I don't know where I would rank him. Probably right near the top, because I like Iron Man most, I think, and then
which is
Batman.
Which is pretty much Marvel's copy of Batman.
Yeah, and maybe that's why, because I love all the gadgets, the toys, and everything that he implements. And
But I think Iron Man
fact
has
that they spend a crap ton of money on stuff. You know?
Yeah,
Drinking problem? You're right.
he has like a better.
Maybe that's why I relate with Iron Man.
He's a lot more funny than Batman. I think Iron Man's a lot more likable. I don't think he's exactly a copy, other than he has a bunch of money. But like he is a bit crazier because he has like awesome suits and whatever. But he's also
Batman.
super funny.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Batman and him have distinct differences where Batman is like, without his gadgets and his suit, he's still a force to be reckoned with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tony Stark, if he doesn't have that suit, Batman's going to hand his ass to him every time.
Well, yeah, and that's
right?
because Tony Stark hasn't gone through the League of Shadows training.
Yeah, right. Or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
He just bought it all.
Exactly.
Right? Like Batman, at least,
Well,
yes,
he
he's
built
buying
it.
gadgets.
He built
Okay,
it.
yes,
So-
to be fair, he built
And
it.
what was it? Was it the Val Kilmer one where like he catches somebody like, and you also hear his suit, and like just like
I don't
doing
remember.
it. It was either which one was that?
I don't know. I don't
He was
remember
fighting
that.
somebody and like he caught him and like catches him and you can just hear his. They put the mechanical sound of his suit like assisting him with the force fighting. And it's like,
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
which one was
Are
it?
you sure you're not
guy?
thinking
Who are
of
the
Winter
villains in the
Soldier or
movie?
I
something?
don't remember now.
Ah,
Okay,
all
but
right,
what
well,
definitely
remember
was
as
Batman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As it comes back to you, remember.
I'll have to do that.
All right, bring it up.
Iceman.
Where do you think, Jack, in the intern camp over there, where does Batman sit on your list of favorites?
In the top 10, probably top 5. I don't
Yeah.
know. When I think favorite superhero, that's a really hard question. Like honestly, because I mean, do you mean comic superheroes?
I think
or
all
like,
of it. When you lump it all together, which ones are the reliable ones that you can fall back on as favorites?
I mean, I really like Cole McGrath from Infamous, just because like being able to play that awesome superhero with all the cool powers.
Oh,
that
see,
was
now you're
really
gonna bring
fun.
video games into it.
Yeah.
So I'm originally thinking more classic superheroes that at least like originated that way, like in comic books.
Okay. I mean, I think Flash is my favorite. I like Green
he was gonna say
Lantern,
that.
the concept of it. But I think Batman might be second, or I don't know. I know he's in the top 10, but I can't really confidently place where,
Yeah.
because that's something I need to think about for a while.
He's at least high enough up though to where you need to contemplate it, right?
Yeah,
he's,
definitely.
Now you need to weigh him against the others.
Because he's so versatile. Like,
Yeah.
like in the comics, he's done so many different ways. Like, for instance, the Batman Arkham comic where everything's drawn all weird. Looks like that Neil Gaiman, or the art that Neil Gaiman uses a lot for like the cover of his stuff, or the covers of his stuff. That one's really good. But then you have like his more, not campy comics, but more actiony,
Yeah.
like detective comics. And then there's, you know, the other there's like so many
Clearly,
ways he's
Jack
done.
also likes Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many different ways it can be done. So, but yeah, he's definitely up there.
Can we all unanimously agree then that yes, Batman is amazing?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
course.
right?
Oh, yeah.
We love Batman.
I think he's in everybody's
Well,
top
I think
five.
I think
Yes.
I think
I
his
really-
superhero power is his intelligence.
Yeah, totally.
It really
Yeah,
is.
Yeah. So let's move on to my next question. What makes Batman so different than other heroes? And again, I'm coming from that more kind of comic book source, right? Like, what makes him stand out compared to other heroes? We mentioned Iron Man. There's so many. That's a Marvel hero, but there's so many other heroes in DC and Marvel that I really think Batman kind of stands on his own pedestal.
His villains.
Yeah, I think
His
that's
villains
such
are
a
a
valid
major part of why he is
point. Yes.
what he is, and then also his you know, his dark past. I mean, as the kid, the tragedy as a child.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the
Totally
things
agree
that
with
totally defines him as what he is.
Yeah, I think that like when you take into consideration like Superman, where Superman came into it with all these powers, like so many other heroes, and they almost need to find a reason to like facilitate those powers, right? It's like I need a reason. I have all these gifts. How can I use them like in this better way, right? And I think Batman is almost more motivated, like you said, like by the villains. All these other heroes are this symbol of hope for everybody, where Batman is a symbol of fear for the opposite end of the spectrum,
Yep.
all the criminals, right? So
Yeah.
it's such a different way to look at it. I almost think without all the criminals and the supervillains, Batman would be this weird recluse, like depressed person that, like, where would his motivation be, right?
I think he'd just still be looking for his parents. He'd solely be
Yeah.
obsessed with looking for his parents' murders.
I think the villains are so crucial in Batman's world. They really, really are, and I do think that makes him so different than the other heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he wants to fight them, but at the same time, if he fought all the villains and beat them all, he would now not have a purpose. Right? It's like it's this weird kind of paradox for Batman.
It's kind of like because you just loaned me the word jokes and riddles,
Yeah,
and how the Riddler got shot, and he's totally got this inner monologue while he's telling the story of what's going on, and how he's like, you know, I could have taken care of him, but I decided to go after the Joker, and in doing so, I lost them both.
yeah,
You know, and he does that throughout all the comics and throughout all the stories,
yeah,
letting people escape like that. It's like you want to wonder, it's like, is that subconsciously driven to do that?
yeah.
Now that
right?
you bring
Like
that up, that's like
yeah,
weird.
it's like, well, I think that's really true about Batman. I really think the villains are his biggest motivator. Like they're each other's biggest fans. They are. I always say
yeah.
that about him and the Joker. They
Well,
just
yeah.
are
Neither one
each
would
other's
exist
biggest
without
fans.
the other.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What do you think, Josh? What's your
The things I really, what you're asking, what I think
like separates
attracts me.
him from the other heroes?
He's just so grungy, you know, and he's just like brooding, and you know, like you guys are talking about, and the villains that he goes after, he's so determined
Yeah.
by them to, you know, like it, you know, if you watch like Dark Knight with his interactions with Joker and all that stuff are just, to
Yeah.
me, that's what I think of when
Yeah.
I think of Batman, is how crazy he's made with his disdain for that villain, you know. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah, villains are such a motive. Even Gotham in general, right?
Yeah.
Just move out of Gotham. Why would anybody live in Gotham?
yeah,
Right? But nope,
Yeah.
he sticks it out, man.
So that brings up your question as to why. I mean, why would he stick in Gotham? What keeps him there?
And
he
again, I
likes
think
beating
it's
the hell out of
because-
people.
yeah.
I think.
Well,
And it's-
and the fact that so he's so tied with his emotionally with his loss of his family and stuff, and you know, look at people that that hold on to something that's and let it just rot and die from grief, because it's the only thing they have to tie them to him. But it's like they're doing that person a disfavor by letting it rot and die. But when you look at some of the stuff that's going on and how influential Bruce's parents were in creating Gotham for what it was. I mean, like the whole redone downtown, the elevated rail, and all that stuff was all improvements that were brought in by the Wayne family
Yeah.
and the Wayne foundations and all this stuff to keep things going. And
They were like the beacon of hope in Gotham.
In Gotham,
His
exactly.
family in general, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps him there. I think that's why. I mean, he can't let it
The
go.
legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just can't let it go. That's his only tie. That's his only thing he has to tie him back to his parents and what's going on.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I keep coming back to that he's such a symbol of fear, right? To represent fear for all these villains and these people, the evildoers, whereas all these other heroes are these symbols of hope for those people, for the opposite end of it, where the innocent, like they're standing up and representing them, where Batman is the other way. He's like, don't mess with them either, but at the same time, crap your pants because I'm Batman and I'm coming to get you, right? Like no other hero has so much of that mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Jack? Got 2 cents? You want to throw 2 cents in there?
Yeah. I think you're kind of like when you said. I totally forgot what you said. Point is, I was gonna say all the different ways that he's been done. Like I referenced that Arkham Asylum comic, not to be confused with the game, but I mean even then in the game he might be done differently, with sort of like some different personality traits or some different strengths and weaknesses than another comic or another movie, and that's totally okay, right?
Yeah.
Like in the Dark Knight movies, he's a lot more real, down to earth, not crazy. But that just works for him, right? And all these other heroes, it's like they can only be done a few different ways. Like Superman, like really from what I've seen, can only be done as like this good guy that fights crazy big stuff. Like doing a Superman like a lot more.
He's always sacrificing for the greater good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like sometimes
Such a Boy Scout.
yeah,
Totally.
but that's what makes Superman good. But he hasn't been done many different ways, at least from what I've seen, at least that are popular. The Flash, it kind of sucks, but he's usually done as like this snarky guy, just a funny guy. Like he's not really ever Batman-y or like really just evil. I mean, even he saw his mom die, and she got killed by like his arch nemesis for the sole purpose of making him become the Flash. So it's like he should be a lot more angry about that, but he's always like, I'm the Flash.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
fast."
definitely more campy.
But I love the Flash, but I wish that sometimes he'd be, just a little less campy.
I wish he learned to gain traction in the time zone without his
exactly.
his cosmic treadmill, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always breaking.
Yeah. Well, I think like even as far as comparing him to other, for me personally and the heroes that I'm a fan of, he's not nearly as brooding. He's more snarky like the Flash. But I think of as far as the villains elevating him, I almost think of him a little bit like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man is that like high school kid that doesn't have the means to be like the grown-up superhero like a lot of the other superheroes are. And if it wasn't for all those villains that are always pushing him, he would just be the kid and like rather have a girlfriend and like go see a movie on the weekend and worry about paying for that and like getting a job. And it's like it's the villains that motivate him to be who he is more than he's just got these powers and needs to find a reason to use them, right? Like
It makes a lot of sense there.
I've always thought of them kind of, even though that one's so dark and broody and one's like this teenage bumbling goofy character, they have that in common with the villains.
Yeah.
But they're totally different.
No, I see what you're saying, though. With
yeah.
the villains are totally what creates.
Like they are their motivation, right?
Yeah.
They really are. So let's move on to some little bit more specifics about Batman. What do you guys think of as far as bat suits? Batman has been known to have a ton of different suits. There's a ton of different versions of Batman. There's animated, there's live action, tons of versions of both of those.
Nipple suits.
Right? Totally. I do give credit to the nipple suits. He was fighting Mr. Freeze.
Well played.
That's the only nod I will give
my
to
God.
that. That's the only
Guys,
reason that's maybe
chill.
okay. Yeah, it's
Chill
yeah,
out.
it's not okay, but it is, right? Yeah. Chill out. Which is actually from Running Man, I believe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to chill out. But do you guys
split.
Yeah. Do you guys have a Batman suit that maybe you like when you think of him visually in your mind? Do you always put him in a certain Batman suit?
Ever since you gave me the comic, and then having seen the atrocity that is BVS, I still go back to the Affleck Dark Knight suit.
Yeah, or even from the comic book, even
The comic book, yeah. But like I said, the as far as like an actual like representation of that suit was the Affleck one.
Yeah. Very simple suit. I like it. I like how it doesn't go over the top. It's just like boom.
Well,
It's black, right? Like it blends in with the shadows.
It's like gray.
Yeah, it's grayish, and but it looks like, if you look at it, it looks like it's almost done as like a Kevlar weave, with stuff that's been plastered over and then what do you call it? Epoxied in and stuff like that. Like it
It's
looks like it
very
was actually
smooth.
built and done that way.
Yeah.
And no, it's not smooth. That's what I like about it.
What?
the one, at least the BVS one.
Yeah, the BVS one is like super like
BBS. What's that?
BVS.
yeah, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. The Ben Affleck.
Talking about
one.
that
Right,
big
we said it,
metal
right? We all gasped. Yeah.
I gotta taste that oatmeal.
Yeah.
I can't think. The sad thing about it is for something that we never
wish I had
repeat.
oatmeal.
We've repeated it an awful
I
lot.
know, right? I think that's such a good one to go to, and I also think that in The Dark Knight, you got to give a little bit of props to the cool battle armor suit that goes with that.
Yeah.
Because I do think that Dark Knight,
The mechanical suit.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like we're gonna fight
With
Superman.
like
I'm
the
gonna
blades
show
and
up.
stuff on the.
It's got like the full
Dude,
metal
the full-
helmet. It's like he's like a knight.
It's
pretty much.
it's like the
It's the epitome of the Dark Knight.
it's like the Iron Man.
Oh, and BVS. Is that
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
one of the best
it's,
things
it's like
about
it's
the
like the Hulkbuster suit, only it's Batman in it for
Right.
against Superman.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I like though the Frank Miller comic ones where he taps into the city power system and totally puts the city into
That
a blackout,
was awesome.
just powering the suit to
Yeah.
to
Through
defeat
Superman's head.
Yes. What do you think, Josh? When
I-
you,
you know-
imagine him, what suit do you imagine Batman in?
I was gonna say Dark Knight too, but the OG Michael Keaton movie.
Yeah.
I love
Pretty
that
awesome.
suit. Yeah, maybe it's just because of
That's the all
that's
black with the
exactly with the yellow and he's got really utilizes the cape. They seem to actually focus on that.
He does that a lot. He does that.
Yeah,
and actually uses that, which is when you go back to the games, a major part of playing the video games.
Yeah, is
you're using the cape
protecting yourself
as
and-
protection and or distraction,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
and I love that for it.
yeah. And I think that's probably and maybe that's because that was how I was introduced to Batman. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of
I have a
people were.
real hard time putting anything above the Michael Keaton ones, just because that is the gold standard when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Of what you saw and what introduced you to it, what really elevated above the TV series.
The Adam West.
Adam West.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like the Adam West was cool for what it was, but this is what brought
would
it
you have been
into-
shocked had I said Adam West?
No.
Hey man, it's your
Dude,
choice.
if you want silk and spandex, go ahead.
When you go pass out on the couch again, we might talk shit about you. But,
Yeah.
and I said it. I think for me, because I come a little bit pre that Tim Burton movie, and I've always associated Batman. My favorite suit is the blue and gray. It really is, with the blue underpants over the top. He's got the blue cowl and cape and gloves and boots, and then the rest
like
is
the
the
silk
gray.
suit.
I just, for some reason, that is that era of Batman that was always my favorite. When I would be reading comics and stuff, that my first introduction to Batman was that, not the Adam West in that, because his looks like that too, but the comic book version of that Adam West suit. You know, when I think of what I grew up reading, it was always in that suit, and so I'm a big fan of that. That's my favorite suit to see him in. But aside from that, I totally agree that the '89 Batman is huge. To this day, if I get a sore neck, or I work with my dad a lot, and my dad gets a sore neck and he's working around work and he's like using his shoulders to look around, I always say, "You got Batman neck," and that's from '89 Adam. Because if you watch that movie, there is no neck movement whatsoever, and Michael Keaton's constantly doing this to look around.
Yep.
It's like shoulder movements because he can't move his head, right? And I also love in the what's the director's name? Help me out, Jack. That does the other trilogy. You know his name. The classic Dark Knight trilogy. What's his name? Come on, help me out.
Oh,
Come on.
Oh, jeez. Christian Bale was the actor.
Yep. I can't remember. That's what they call those three, right?
Which one? The one with
The one with
Bale?
Christian Bale. I can't remember the
who the
director.
director is?
Yeah. You got it? You gonna tell it? Ask
Who
Google.
directed the Christian Bale Batman movies?
This is terrible. I'm not a big fan of him.
Night was directed by Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan.
right.
There we
Dang
go.
it, I was looking it up.
Chris and Chris, that's right.
Yeah, I like.
Thank you, Google.
In that second one, which I believe is the Dark Knight one,
Way
they
better
actually
than Siri.
specifically acknowledge that they gave him just a separate helmet versus the neck part so he can move his head.
Yeah.
I love that they bring that up in that movie. What do you think, Jack? When you think Batman, which suit are you picturing him in your head?
I
None?
think
Naked? Do you,
the,
birthday suit.
you picture
I
him
think-
naked with blue balls?
Shut up. I think more like the Arkham Knight one with a lot of kind of armor plates, not like sticking out too much, but like it makes sense that he'd move like that. With like sometimes a
bulky.
little bit of yellow, yeah, bulky, big, and sometimes I think of him like all beat up, torn, because that's as you go through all the Arkham games, your armor gets like all beat up. I love that about it.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But I think one of my honorable mention, Batman Beyond. I really like that TV show.
Yeah.
Like the futuristic, really minimalistic,
Never saw
like
it.
red and black style ones.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
like Batman or Bruce Wayne at that point, right? He's not Batman anymore. He kind of takes somebody new under his wing to now take over
Yeah,
the
just like
Batman.
this random
Oh, okay.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he
Yeah,
sees
it's
potential
pretty
in and
good.
does- Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
I
I've never
haven't
seen it.
watched like all of it, but you know, that's still a show.
it's way
that I would
more of
watch.
the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Like it has way more mechanical
Yep.
stuff going
Okay.
on with it. So as we were talking about suits and using your cape and all that good stuff, maybe we should move into some gadgets.
All right.
So what do you think? I'll go to the guest first. What is your favorite? Not that you have to pick just one, but what do you think of? Again, when you think of Batman, what are those classic gadgets you think of?
I kind of like the grappling hook that he uses
Yeah.
for one, and then
Do you like old school with a rope that he has to throw, or do you prefer the grappling like gun?
The gun.
I like the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the what do you call that sucker where you throw it and you just
The batarang?
wraps them
Batarang.
up. Yeah,
yeah.
wraps
You
them
couldn't
up.
remember it because it's just
Yeah.
that horribly cliche. Of a
Yeah,
name.
because
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite things to use. Super Nintendo Batman, just use that sucker and then you just go up and just sock those guys.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think the
Those are
batarang.
my favorites.
But the batarang is such a perfect example of all of the Batman. One of the things I love about all of the Batman gadgets is they have to have the word "bat" in them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah,
It's so horrible, but it's so cool. The batarang is ridiculous, but it's on my list too. Totally up there.
Well, obviously,
so many
so I can't
puns,
have I can't take the grappling gun because it's like the iconic
So,
one.
well, like which grappling gun though? Because I think you have the 1989, the movie where it's like the classic clip to the belt with the little needle
Well, it
that
has
sticks
to
out,
be.
right?
Because that's
but
the
what
one that
about
they're-
like
that's
the
one that-
animated? The animated series had a pretty sweet one, dude,
Okay.
with the like T shape that he would hold in his hand with the side clicker, and it'd make that sweet boom, and then he'd zip off. I was a big fan of that animated one. Just, I don't know if you could tell.
But okay, just lumping them all together, the grappling gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The gun powered one, right?
Yes.
I think you might weigh a little more than 108.
Yeah.
Yes.
That part.
Yeah.
I gotta say, second, and this is you're going to think the stupidest, but just the classic smokescreen balls.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally classic.
That's just something that's just like, okay, that's got to be one of my favorite things because it's one of my favorite things to see him do. Is just the whole.
I think
on.
it
Yeah,
draws
it's
from
practical. Yeah.
well, and it draws from that like ninja background.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Ninja smoke. Got him. Ninja
And
gun.
then I gotta say, and then third on that one is, and it's not my favorite bat suit, but I do love the suit where he's like, and it like all extends out and the cape just becomes that, and he can like soar.
Oh, like metallic
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember which suit was that. Was it the Clooney suit or was it the Kilmer suit?
I can't remember either. I even want to say kind of the Nolan series.
Nolan did that, but
Dark Knight one. He has one very similar to that too.
he does it. But it was introduced in either the Clooney or the Kilmer. I can't remember which one, but
Yeah.
I want to say it was the Kilmer one. That he does that, but yeah, that was like one of my favorite things. Is the shink and then
Yeah.
just, and they totally
Constant
didn't.
gadgets.
Yeah, but they totally didn't showcase it at all. He just does that, just jumps off, and you see the cape flap, and that's supposed to be him soaring. And I was like, damn it, they didn't follow soaring. But the thought behind it was just awesome.
Yes, yeah. The cape, I think, is totally a valid gadget that he has because, I mean, it's proof everything, right? Like bulletproof, fireproof, freeze-proof. Like he
Yeah.
fights all these crazy villains that do those things, and it allows him to soar through the air, which is super cool. It's like it does so many different things, and it also just gives him that like vampire, I'm from the night kind of feel to him. It adds to that ominous effect. Right?
Kind of like Buzz Lightyear. He can't fly, but he can fall with style.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I
Hey,
like
Woody.
that. He falls gracefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
What do you think, Jack? What's your classic Batman gadget?
I think you guys are all missing the best one, the Bat credit card from Batman
credit-
Forever.
Yeah.
It's very important. You know, you
That's
get to
true.
pull out your billions of dollars, Bat credit card.
It's like such a red flag giveaway, right?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not Bruce Wayne at all.
Yeah.
Let me swipe this.
Big-
You don't have the
big
same
fan of the
pin
Batman.
code.
$1 billion.
What is Batman's on that Bat card? What is the pin code?
Let's see.
Does it spell out bats?
I think, another one of the gadgets I really liked though was the whole the bat drones, and then send it out.
Yeah.
That was something I was so
We missed a couple. We pretty much touched on every one that I had on my list, other than
Does he ever use a baseball bat?
No, he should, right? The bat, right? That would be awesome.
That's not bat.
Yeah, it's like, and
I've
of course
got
it
a
would be like just the little
batitude.
handle part that then like and goes out, and he's like, it's about to get batted.
Okay. It doesn't have a pin, or like he only shows the front. It's really awkward, but it is the brand is Goth Card, and
That movie's so bad.
and it says good through
Is that the Clooney one?
forever. Yep,
Of
Batman
course.
Forever.
Yeah. The obvious one where these all come from is the utility belt. Right?
Yeah.
You don't see Batman without a utility belt.
Yep.
And the other one that we're all really neglecting to comment on is the shark repellent. You must need shark repellent, right?
I was not going to bring that
no
one up
idea
even.
what you're talking about.
Have you not seen the Adam West classic movie where the shark's like on his leg and Batman or Robin does this classic like little legs through the helicopter rope ladder and leans over backwards and gives him shark repellent and he sprays it on the shark and it lets go of his leg?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so
Yeah, no,
terribly
the
awesome.
helicopter's got it has a spray can in it labeled or shark repellent.
Shark repellent. Yeah. It's so classic. It's why I always keep my Lego shark with my classic Batman Lego set. And I think the other one that we're all missing that I think, again, emphasizes the logo. It's the symbol that shines, and it means that he's coming to save the day. We all know what it is, right?
Yeah, the bat signal.
The bat signal. You can't forget the bat signal. That's
But that's not
synonymous
his.
with Batman.
Well, okay, I guess he is the one that set it up.
Right?
Never
And
mind.
he's the only. When that symbol goes up, that's all it means, right? Like, I bet half the crimes in Gotham are stopped just because the symbol goes up in the air.
But
They're like, oh crap, get the hell out of here, right? Like, it's just a crime deterrent.
is it like permanently cloudy in Gotham? Is that
Oh,
what it
yeah.
is?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
what would you do on a starry night where you just
Yeah, right.
that
Crap.
just like another spotlight. Crime can go rampant through the streets.
It's probably when there's the most people out in the streets,
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
It's like the
exactly.
most crime, yeah.
You're like, is this going to be clear tomorrow?
No.
I'm gonna rob a bank.
Because Gotham is so dark and gothic, it
Yeah.
always has clouds.
Right.
Yeah. It's
why
worse
it's
than
always dark.
Seattle. Yeah.
And maybe he just pumps out smog
Yeah,
from his factory.
Yeah.
That fog
in
machine.
case they need me. I'm gonna
All
pollute
of the
air.
Wade buildings are
Yeah.
just pumping
Yeah.
smog into the atmosphere of Gotham. I like it. Yeah.
Dark. Make Gotham dark again.
You guys need me on there.
Yeah. So I think one of the, because we're talking small time gadgets, I think one of the most iconic other things that is associated with Batman is the Batmobile.
And what about the supercomputer?
And his
got
supercomputer
the
in his
AI
cave. That's a
supercomputer.
great one. Yes, I would consider that
Well, I
a
mean,
gadget.
in the Batcave. I mean, the Batcave it's like one of the biggest things, which is why I thought the whole Alfred
the
AI
ultimate man cave,
yes,
right?
But I'm just saying, like the whole his whole supercomputer thing is all about. It's got an AI built into it. Everything he can talk to it. Everything is.
We're having more beer.
Jeez, you're having a
I'm
whole.
parched. I'm parched.
Yeah, he hasn't been talking enough.
Holy.
I totally agree. Batcomputer, which is cool because other heroes, like I think it's really cool how much the other heroes like look up to Batman. Right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What Batman says matters, and everybody listens when he talks, even though he doesn't have any powers or anything else. And a lot of times, those other heroes will actually come to him to specifically use like his Batcomputer, right? And just come to him for his detective skills.
And like I said, yeah, it's just eventually has its own AI and its own thing, just much like Jarvis does for.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of his equivalent to the Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's in the cave, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Totally. So what about Batmobiles, though? What do you think? What is when you think Batman, what do you imagine him driving in your head?
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, that Batmobile
Yeah, the whole.
with the armor plating and
And then it
everything?
just drops the freaking.
More so than the
Tink,
first one.
tink.
That's just Batman.
Oh, is that the first one?
Yeah, the Batman
okay.
Returns is the one where he launches the sides and he makes it skinny so it can go through the buildings, and then I think it can ride up the side of a building too.
Oh, no.
That
no,
was
no.
the design difference, because they always have to make a design change each Batman.
No, just the one where the hubcap comes out, drops
Yeah.
the ball, and then
And it's
everything
so
blows up.
casual about
Yes.
it. That's one of my favorite things
That's-
in that scene, for sure. Yeah, and he also has the two machine guns where the like panels pop off the top and he cuts
Yeah.
the perfect hole and blasts through the door. But that scene where the little explosive ball, it's so casual because all the guys are unloading.
This
on
is
the car.
Batman Returns.
They're very, very similar.
Yeah.
It's the mod. It's the tech he uses.
It's the one that has the rock. The second one is the one that has the rockets in the front,
yeah,
and then it launches the freaking grappling hook. And
Yeah.
bam.
and in the first one,
Remember that now?
yeah, the first one with Michael. These are the Michael Keaton movies.
Yeah.
The first one with Michael Keaton has the side grappling hook
Yes.
to go around the corner,
Which
tighter.
is what Grand Theft Auto needs.
yes, for the one that's in there, which
Yes.
is very
But you kind of do that with the
Similar.
e-brake. You just hit the e-brake and then launch, and then it's the same
yes,
thing.
yeah. And that car is actually a 1989 Chevy Impala chassis that they built that all on. I'd always assumed it was a Stingray because it kind of has
looks
that
more
sort of
like it,
feel,
yeah.
but I was surprised to discover that it's actually a Chevy Impala.
Well, it's an Impala frame. I guarantee you, nothing more of that
No,
car.
no,
survived.
that car is.
Yeah.
I think that's the first actual Batmobile where, like, 99% of that car is, at least aesthetically, was totally built from the ground up to be the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Right.
with the
What do you-
rocket engine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one. That's the one I think of. You know, when I think Batman, I think of that original Michael Keaton movie. Watching that sucker just tear out with the big flame coming out of that exhaust. You
Yeah.
know? That's the new one. Obviously,
with
they can't have that in a movie come out today because it's so cheesy in
Yeah,
a lot of ways.
I think they could. I
Yeah.
think there's enough people
you
that
think
don't
they
like
could
that-
put that car in a movie that comes
I don't
out?
like that the new ones are such a tank.
That's
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
the new ones.
I don't either.
But I don't think that they could put this one, the Michael Keaton one, in a new movie.
Yeah.
It just looks too far out there. I don't know what they could do, but I don't like the new tank, that stupid steering thing that it had and all that. I'm
Yeah,
not
and
a
the
fan.
weird, like, lower you down and slide in for the attack. Like,
That
I
was
just
stupid.
wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
Again, the one that I have up here, I'm actually a big fan of the classic Adam West Batmobile. I think it's great. I always loved it as a kid. It is the first Batmobile to have the jet engine in the back. So since that Batmobile, it made that standard. Like, you don't see a Batmobile now since Adam West TV show that doesn't have a jet engine, right?
Okay.
Like, even that is something that, as like we talked, the 89 versus now, they're so different cars, but
Yeah.
they all have the jet in the back. Every single one of
Yes.
them does, right? Like, that's a staple that Batmobile made standard. That is
because
never
turbine
gonna go
power
away.
is amazing.
Yeah, right?
Not necessarily
what-
efficient, but amazing.
I have
Yeah.
a gripe too
He
about
gets about half a mile to a gallon of that thing.
If that.
Yeah.
that new
He burns more fuel starting up than we do just to
Yeah.
make our commute.
that new Batmobile. What gets that stupid motorcycle out of that thing with those ridiculous tires?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like disgusted. I'm like, how if you ride a motorcycle and you look at that thing, you're like, yeah, that thing would drive like crap.
Yeah.
Well, and then when he,
No,
and
no,
it
no.
has
It's the
the-
steers front and rear, and it's just flat turning.
Yeah, but the tires are like this big.
Well, and it
That's
has
why you hear it.
But it
Everywhere
has
it
the
goes.
machine guns on each side of the tire when it goes. Like, wouldn't it just mess stuff up as it's like rotating?
Dude, that's the coolest one. It like turns.
no,
that's
it's not.
awesome.
Shut up.
It's okay to be wrong. You're trolling us.
Yeah, yeah,
I know.
That first one, the Adam West one, was a 1959 Cadillac.
Yeah.
It set that jet engine standard. I thought it was interesting to note that I believe it was 2013, not that long ago, that it actually sold for $4.2 million.
I know. I saw that.
That was a lot of money. And in
Crazy.
the by the end of the series, that car was not a Cadillac anymore. Everything about it had changed because everything died as far as like it's like Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Yeah.
Like they had a hard time finding those cars by the end of the run of that show. But the other one I do want to give a little tribute to is the animated series, the one that we grew up with. I was a really big fan of that one because before I thought that one does a really good job of kind of bridging the gap between the Adam West Batmobile and that 1989 Michael Keaton version, where it's kind of this hybrid in between, because all the old school comic book Batmans were like the old clunky, kind of mobster-looking vehicles. And
Yeah.
they were more rounded and long and like that, not so aerodynamic and streamlined. And that one from the animated series has those really harsh kind of right angles to it and everything.
Oh,
like that.
okay.
So I was really, I loved how that was this really nice hybrid in between.
See, I never got into the animated series until after seeing the '89 movie.
And to be fair, it did come out after that movie.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I just liked how they totally took from that '89 movie, but they did a really good job of incorporating the feel of those older Batmobiles from the comic books, because it is
Gotcha.
more boxy and square, right? Which is kind of what I think of when I think of older cars. So let's see, if we move on from Batmobiles, is there like any other vehicle that you guys really love? I didn't really make a point to list other vehicles, but like you said,
Well,
boats
the
and
Batjet.
jets and yeah. And again, the '89 movie where he,
Yeah,
for
go
no
flies.
apparent reason, just and again, it's the cloud line, because Gotham has a very permanent cloud line.
Yeah.
He breaks that cloud line and goes right up to the moon just to highlight the logo.
I would do that.
Right? Yeah, right?
Dude,
'Cause
wouldn't you?
can. Yes. That is a sweet scene.
It was
in that movie.
it was a total hammer stall too, which is like one of my favorite aircraft maneuvers.
Yeah.
So
That is
Just
probably
a
my
total-
favorite as far as the jets go. Yep. And
freaking awesome.
And even the way it just kind of goes poof through the clouds.
Yep.
And then does the little stall and poof back in. And then it's drama again.
Yeah, it
I
was
think my favorite. I was gonna say this, but at the end of Arkham Knight, when like Joker takes control of your mind. Spoilers.
the Bat DPV though.
You get like Joker's version of the Batmobile, and it has this like crazy looking mouth at the front, and it just shoots all sorts of random weapons, like just rockets are just coming out of like all these random spots, and it feels so Joker, like it's the complete opposite of Batman's vehicle. Like that was very clean. It was like, all right, I have like 2 guns, they have 2 settings, it's gonna be clean, organized. I mean, the Bat Tank was dumb because it's like you hit someone and they're like, but I'm fine though. I'm fine that you hit, even though you hit me with your like 2-ton, like 5-ton vehicle,
Yeah.
and then you shoot them with like, rubber bullets. Yeah, no.
Yeah, right? Because he doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Frank Miller, so he does.
the Joker's
That's
the
coming
Joker's mobile is so insane, and it's so just like over the top, and it feels so Joker, and I really like it. And the sucky thing is you can't drive it in the game. Like, it just won't let you drive it. Which sucks. Yeah.
Talking about beer.
I can tell, yeah.
But I think
Culture, you're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah, you're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.